Hello everybody, my name is Olstef and welcome back to another episode of NASCAR 25 Career Mode. Today we are here with two more races for USA in the NASCAR Truck Series. Last episode, I believe we ended up winning at Kansas, got I think second at Texas, so we're looking to carry the momentum on a long streak of finishing inside the top 5, hopefully keeping that streak alive, but it really didn't look like it was going to happen early on here. I do have to concede that much. The truck was just not driving well, and if you know anything about North Wilkesboro in this game, which is the track that we're racing at, is that it's definitely a little bit more difficult than the other tracks. The braking points are a little bit more difficult to find, especially if you're messing around with different settings and stuff like that. So I was just kind of chucking it into the corner and hoping that it would stick for me, and a lot of the times it wasn't. You know, I tried a looser setup, and it was a little bit faster, but at the same time, my rear end was really kicking out of the corners, and I was like literally almost slamming into the wall every single time. And we did change our sponsor incentive, so that would have been top 6, and we still end out the practice inside the top 5, or not inside the top 5, sorry, inside the top 15, which isn't terrible, but once again, not entirely what we're looking for. And we get an okay lap on the first one. Actually, it was pretty bad considering where we were before. And 1 and 2 was really good on our second lap. And then once again, 3 and 4 put it right on the white line, but just bobbled a little bit on the center of the corner. Lost a little bit of time coming out of turn 4, and still improved on our first lap, but 10 spots behind where we needed to be for the extra sponsorship payout. So not terrible, but also not great. But I have a feeling that, I had a feeling at this point that I could make up spots on race day, and well, we'll just have to see if that was true or not. So right up behind Connor Mosack, battling up inside the top 15, getting a little bit of contact, getting into Brandon Jones and just muscling him out of the way. And you'll see during this race, I actually make a lot of contact with people.
Still there.
And, Robin's racing, but it's getting to a point now where I'm like, I'm not surprised when people are in my Twitter DMs in this game being like, oh, what was this? What was that? Terrible driving, blah, 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 blah. Because sometimes it is on me. Like this race, I noticed a lot. I was just kind of chucking it into the corners and not giving anybody any room. There you see me doing the same thing to Daniel Hemrick. We do get the run off the corner here.
One on the bottom.
And we're battling up inside the top 15 still, trying to get a point at the end of the stage. And we're not even halfway through the stage yet. But Andreas Perez-Delara gets to our inside.
Clear low.
He gets to the inside of his teammate, Kyle Larson, and we're battling for scraps at this point. But the truck really doesn't get any better from here. Still way too loose on exit. You can see this is coming back to 6 to go, and we just chuck it down into corner number 1.
5 to go.
Does not really work out for us. We catch up to Andreas a little bit here, trying to get one more spot before the end of the stage.
Stay low.
We get past him there.
Outside.
He's still sticking it on our outside, but we managed to clear.
Inside.
Coming out of the final corner onto the front stretch. He gets us back, sends one to the bottom of us, turns 1 and 2. And then coming into the final 2 corners on the final lap, we come out of it in the 13th spot. So, room to improve, but also not terrible. And we will pit here, knock a little bit of wedge into the thing, tighten it up a little bit. Because once again, it was really loose off, and I've over tightened it a couple of times now. I didn't want to do the same thing here, and it ended up pretty okay. Before it was really kind of wrecking loose, and it was like a top 15 truck. Now I'm confident in saying that it's like a top 10 truck. But because I was the only one that pitted, once again, we have to come from the very back and hopefully not wreck anybody at the very back of the field here. Getting past a couple of them. Warren Benning, we shoot it 3 wide to the inside of him.
1 outside.
Use him up a little bit on the midway point through the corner, but we do not wreck anybody. So that's a success. Get to the inside of the 23 truck. And just ahead of us, 4 wide, just outside of the top 25. Pretty crazy racing back here. I wish it was the same up front, to be honest with you. Rajah Caruth just falling off a cliff there.
Outside door.
Same with Stuart Friesen. A lot of drivers that you'd normally expect to see up front, at least in the top 15, outside of the top 25 here.
Clear high.
So we just send it there deep into 1 and 2. Having a nice little run through here. Just showing you the entire run to the top half of the field. Scything our way through the pack.
1 outside.
Get to the bottom of Jack Wood in turns 1 and 2. And you can see how much better the truck is turning now that I don't have the rear end like dog tracking on exit. It is much better. You do still have to slow down a lot on entry to the corner. You can't just chuck it in there because there's not a lot of give and take with how much the truck slides when you tighten it up. But you can get the run off the corner, and that's what you want to see as we're still making up ground. And obviously we do have newer tires as well, which is why we're able to cut through the back half of this pack so easily. But once again, sticking it on the top side is not the easiest thing to do in this game because it seems like the AI get massive runs on you on the inside of the race, on the inside of the racetrack. And that's not just here, that is at a bunch of the mile and a halves as well, where if you leave the bottom open, even if you're still rolling the center of the corner really well, entry, exit, you can run the entire corner perfectly, full throttle, but the AI will still find a way to get underneath you and take the spot away, which in a way is good, because you're still getting a battle for the lead, but it can be a little bit repetitive and annoying if you know you have the truck, but they just keep slipping up underneath you and you can't run the bottom of the racetrack, because I've had that happen before. That was kind of what was happening to me at Texas. But the end of the race at Texas was a skill issue. So.
Outside.
And we get to the inside here. Matt Crafton, shove him up the track. And look at this. Tony Breidinger in 13th. That's probably the highest she'll be all season long, to be honest with you. That truck did not do well last year. It's doing well so far in real life this year, which is pretty cool to see. Adam Andretti had a good run going at St. Petersburg before he got wrecked, I think. And he finished like, what, 11th or 10th at Atlanta, and then Nick Lights finished 11th at Daytona. Like, it's not bad. And Corey Haim's driving the truck this week, so might be even better. And we just put Tanner Gray in the wall there just for fun, for the fun of it. And how many times now are we fighting Jake Garcia for the final point in a stage? This is at least twice now. It might be 3 times by the end of the video if I'm not mistaken. But we get by Jake Garcia into turns 1 and 2. We managed to get a stage point by the end of 2, which is honestly probably better than if I would have just stayed out, because I would probably be wrecked by now.
Top 10 in the stage. Don't worry, bud. Keep doing what you're doing.
And we continue to pile up those points, continue to try and eke out our points lead over the 11 truck, but he's once again dominating, so we might lose a little bit in this race. As we get sent 3 wide on the bottom there. Once again, that inside line is lethal. We had another truck looking down there. I think that was Jake Garcia, actually. And we go almost 4 wide into 1, push the 99 truck up the racetrack. And then Kyle Busch gets a hip check from his teammate and starts going around right beside us and spins out to bring out our first incident cause caution of the day. That was probably one of the most realistic wrecks I've ever seen in this game, which is pretty cool. And it may have looked like I made contact there, but I promise you I did not make contact until he was already wrecking loose. So that was not a me thing, that was a Kyle Busch thing.
Clear low if you want it.
We're still trying to make the most out of this. We went from literally a 15th place truck to a top 5 truck in a matter of laps as we try and send it really low in the 98 truck there. Once again, if I was doing this in real life, this would be, drivers would be hating my guts. But, you know, this is a game against AI, so I don't really care. But how about Andreas Perez having a great run up here, battling with him up inside the top 5, looking for a podium finish once again. And we got Gio Ruggiero up behind us as well.
Inside.
If I'm not mistaken, he actually did really well in the North Wilkesboro race in real life last year. And we're side by side down the back straightaway, trying to clear into 3, but not quite. Andres gets the run out of 4. Clears me. We tap the wall just a little bit out of 4 there. Once again, just having a phenomenal battle, and this truck turns well enough now that the tires are a little bit worn that we can actually run the top and still make pretty good time around there.
Still there.
And right there we made a little bit of contact with Andreas, gets us up the track a little bit. Gio's starting to hunt us down a little bit. I feel like we've come into contact with Gio a couple of times. If I'm not mistaken, we came together at Rockingham, and I feel like there's one other track, but I can't remember where it was. It may have been Texas. A lot of stuff happened in Texas. Right there, we send it way too deep into turn number 1. I was looking in the mirror and not looking at my braking point. End up in the outside wall a little bit. Lost a little bit of time. We're still fighting with the 77 truck. Send it to the inside of him. Really deep into turn 1. Take him up the racetrack with us. Now he's being sent into the clutches of Gio Ruggiero, and we get really wide and tap the wall out of turn 4, and I throw a Joey Logano level block down the front straightaway. We managed to keep the position. That's all I was really trying to do. And here I'm just trying to check the damage on this beautiful Speedy Cash number 78 Toyota Tundra, and just a little bit of damage on the right rear quarter panel.
10 to go this time.
Not too shabby for how much we've been getting into people. And into the wall again. In the middle of 1 and 2. That allows the 77 to get back to the inside of us. And I have to run the top here. And the 17 actually gets to my inside as well. And so close to making contact. We did make a little bit of contact there. Just hard racing at this point. In this race I did enjoy a lot. You know, I do have a couple gripes with this game that I'll probably put in the video when I'm done with my career mode. But, you know, honestly, races like this make it worth all the pain and suffering of the, you know, the bugs and stuff in this game, which are not as bad as NASCAR 21 Ignition by any stretch of the imagination, but are still there. There's a few kinks to work out for their game this year, but or if they do a DLC, I guess. And just like that, we fell outside the top 5, side by side with Lane Riggs, with just about 6.5 laps to go. And we're now battling with Andres Perez once again. Get the run on him out of turn number 2 and clear into 3, up into the 4th position. Right up behind Gio here into turn 1. Trying to run the outside, but my tires are slowly but surely starting to go away on me. The truck's getting a little bit more slidey. Get into the back of him here, try and do the crossover. And not quite enough drive on exit to get it done.
2 to go now.
We send it into turns 1 and 2 with 2 laps to go. Up the inside of the 17 and clear for the 3rd spot. Once again, we're in 3rd. And then right here into 3 and 4, I just sent it way too far. End up getting into the outside wall on the 34 truck. Right up behind us now, coming onto the white flag. Just trying to salvage a podium out of this. I was out of contention a couple laps ago, and I'm out of contention once again as the 34 pulls the undercut, goes underneath me, and I try to do a last-ditch Carson Hocevar move there into 3. It does not work, and we end up in 4th, which honestly, not that bad for how bad the truck was at the beginning of the race. This was another race like Bristol. There's our contact with Brandon Jones at the beginning of the race. But this was another race like Bristol where the adjustments to the truck actually improved the racing a lot better. And we managed to get up to the front on strategy, and there's the one wreck. Kyle Busch going around in front of everybody. And here is the replay. No contact until he was all the way across my nose. Got a little bit spooked by the 77 truck, I guess, and ended up going around. But yeah, we will take that finish. There's your finishing positions. Grant Enfinger gets a top 10. Not too bad there. And obviously Andreas Perez de Lara gets a 6th place finish. Could have been a top 5. But look at that. Tony Breidinger, Frankie Muniz, and Spencer Boyd all inside the top 20. A couple of really good runs for some underfunded teams and underperforming teams. Not terrible at all. And we only get one slightly peeved message out of that entire race from Caden Honeycutt. And I honestly don't remember getting into him that much. I probably did at some point because it was not a clean race on my part by any stretch of the imagination. But to me, it just seems like there should have been more people at my throat there. But, you know, we'll take it. And obviously a lot of damage done to various parts of the race car after that race. And since we're going to Charlotte next, I figured I'd do a little bit of a patriotic scheme. Because I guess I'm LARPing as an American patriot, even though I'm Canadian. But, yeah, we sign on, or we're looking at Speedy Cash, what our sponsorship incentive was. And, yeah. And there is our number 78 truck. The patriotic scheme, I just kind of went with, like, the 8-bit camo and the stars on the bed. And Charlotte is kind of an interesting track because I've only had 2 experiences with it. One was terrible. The first time I went here, I literally could not make it out of practice. The car would not turn at all, and I had to do a bunch of things to the settings and my driving capabilities and stuff like that. The setups. I had to do a custom setup for the first time. The only other time I did that was Atlanta in the Truck Series, and that still didn't work. But the second time I came here, obviously much better parts, was really good, especially in 1 and 2, but still couldn't quite pin it in 3 and 4, and it's the same thing here with this truck. You can't quite pin it in turns 3 and 4. You can, but you'll probably end up in the wall on corner exit, and you just kind of have to lift off on entry, and you can somewhat get it fully pinned on exit if you're good at the timing, which I wasn't entirely. But Charlotte, there was only a small clip of it in the Arca finale episode, but I almost wrecked coming off of turn 4 with like 3 laps to go, or 2 laps to go, but managed to keep the lead somehow. So try not to have a repeat of that here. And just showing the entire qualifying lap to show you what I'm working with here. Pretty good in turns 1 and 2. And then in 3 and 4, let off on corner entry. So you're somewhat close to the bottom of the racetrack. And then full speed all the way through about half a lane from the bottom. And make it back to the line.
Right, top 10 there.
And we qualify inside the top 10, so not a terrible lap.
Distance, buddy. Good job.
But also not inside the top 6. So, you know, it is what it is. We take what we can get.
1 on the bottom.
But starting up front with all the Hilgeman trucks, get into the side of the 19 a little bit there. I was trying to slot in behind him into turn 1 here. Just because I know sometimes the bottom line can kind of freight train you on a restart or a start of the race. And we get a big draft down the back straightaway here, trying to make something happen.
Car inside.
Thought about splitting
Outside
the 2
now.
Hilgeman trucks.
Clear low.
Did not
Clear
quite
high
have
if you
enough
want
drive to do that. But we get to the inside of Tyler Ankrum down the front straightaway.
Car inside.
And look at this racing. This is what I live for. Massive drafts down the front stretch. Near contact between everybody, but still
Hold
respectful
your line.
racing.
Clear outside.
We clear
low
the
if you
18
want it.
truck.
Outside now.
Now slot to the bottom of the 19, 3 wide. Underneath Daniel Hemrick and Kyle Larson. Squeeze him up to the top. Underneath the 38 truck now. We're barely going to clear into 3. And just like that, we're up inside the top 5. And my old buddy Kyle Busch, who we've been battling with over the past couple episodes. Mainly the past episode, actually. Get to the bottom of him, clear into 3rd. Now fighting with Lane Riggs for the 2nd spot. No love lost between us at North Wilkesboro, but he treats me with a lot of respect. We clear him out off of turn number 2. Now just hunting down the 11 truck. We
One
get to
outside.
the inside of him.
Clear high.
We do not make contact,
high
but
if
he
you want it.
spins out right in front of us and
Inside.
hard into the wall, and we
On that
take a
stage,
lot,
There's 10 points.
a massive hit on the right front, but actually don't take any aero damage, surprisingly, and no damage to the actual car. So we will not pit and just continue in the lead. And we clear into 3 and
One
4, but
low
once
if you
again,
want it.
my truck is still not on maxed out parts.
One low.
So I'm really just having to throw haymaker blocks to the point where I'm in the grass down the front stretch. And still somehow managing to keep the lead as the 34 truck goes up the racetrack, and in my mirror, 4 wide nearly for the second spot coming down the backstretch. And they are 4 wide there, it looks like. 98, the 7, the 34, and the 11 who comes in on the bottom of the racetrack up to second. I clear into the first spot, and the 11 goes around again. He cannot keep his truck underneath him, and we take the stage sweep for the first time in our career in the Truck Series. And we will pit
Okay,
this
we're
time
pitting
because
here.
everybody else is, so what would be the use of not pitting? And since everyone's on fresh tires now, it's just a matter of keeping up
Stay low.
with the drivers up front. And
We just lost
keep
the
in
lead.
mind how clean we've been
Clear up top.
this race so
Car
far.
outside.
The only real big hit that I
Clear
took
high.
was on Corey Heim, and he spun out in front of me. So we're keeping it clean right now. And then right here, I lose it into 3, get up the racetrack into the gray,
One on
into
the
the
bottom.
outside wall,
Clear inside.
and I try and
We'll get the
just
lead back. Stay
come
focused.
down the racetrack just a little
One
bit,
bottom.
trying to
car
defend my
low.
position. The 34 kind of door
3
slams me down the front stretch here.
Outside now.
Just trying to keep it up inside the top 5. And once again, making no contact with anybody here,
Clear low.
other than the 34. Then down the backstretch here, we give Caden Honeycutt a big shot.
One high.
We go to the bottom of him, headed down into 3.
One low.
And look at that 9 truck shooting
Clear
up the
low.
inside once again. Another
outside.
mega run from the inside truck. We get to the inside of the 34 now, down the front straightaway. Clear
Still
him
there.
for the 4th spot. Once again, no contact made between us.
Clear high if you want it.
Ty Majeski
One bottom.
battling with him. We go to the top
Clear,
in
clear.
turn number 1.
Inside now.
Try and roll it. And we do end up doing that. Get a little bit loose in the middle of turn
Stay
2,
high.
but keep the truck underneath us as the 07 goes for the lead on the 19.
One on the bottom. Clear low.
We're
if
trying
you
to
want
get
it.
as close as we can to the lead trucks here. I thought about making it 3 wide on the top, but the 19 is going to slide up in
Still
front,
there.
defending that position.
One outside. Clear
And I
high
try to
if you want
cover off the bottom there and end up making a little bit of contact with the 98. That one was on
it.
me.
Clear high. Clear inside.
And right there I had to let off a lot so I didn't run into the back of the 19 truck. And that put me in the clutches
One
of
on
the
the
FRM trucks, but just like that, the next lap by, we're right back to the side of the 19 as we get doored by him down the front straightaway. Lose a bunch of time
One
once
low.
again. Right here, I'm just going to show my displeasure. Run into the side
Clear,
of him
clear.
a little bit. Once again, wouldn't really be surprised if the AI was stupid enough.
One outside.
Daniel Hemrick's AI was stupid enough to tweet at
Clear
me
high if you want
post-race. But
One
some of the
high.
people
Clear outside.
after this race will really surprise you, as they surprised
Car
me.
outside.
And we get to the bottom of the 98 truck here. Pin it to the bottom.
Stay
We
low.
clear off of turn
high.
number 2. Nearly contact, but we do keep the truck
Outside door.
straight as we go to the bottom of the 19 truck. And now hunting down Kyle Larson, looking
Clear
for our
outside.
4th career victory.
Outside now.
This is with
Clear
just
outside.
under 11
Top.
laps left. Now with 10 to go, right up behind the 07 truck. And right there, I didn't get the run in the right place. Got
One
to
on
the
the
back
bottom.
end of the 07.
Clear bottom.
Had to let way off as I got up the racetrack.
Car
Right
outside.
here, once again, the run was really, really late at the end of the straightaway. That time I'm able to hold side by side with the 07 truck
Stay low.
as we come off of
Clear
turn
high if you
number
want it.
4 down the front straightaway. still right there with him.
Car
And
high.
I make my move down into
Clear
one,
outside.
make a little bit of contact almost. And then right
Outside
here
door.
down into 3, send it really deep. Once again, Larson ripping the top. That's not something
Great
you want
job.
to go
You got the lead.
against.
Clear, all clear.
Give him a little bit of the door. Hard racing down the front stretch. Beat him by a nose to the line.
Clear high.
Try and keep him up there. And we clear into the lead, but at this point, the tires were really starting to go on me, and the truck was getting very, very loose out of 4. 1 and 2 were completely fine, but 3 and 4, especially in the middle of the turn, if I put any sort of throttle input, I would get mega loose. And this time, it nearly bit me, just as it did in ARCA. You can see how sideways I get. I have to let way off, and the 07 is right back to the rear end of me, tries to cut to the bottom, but I am there to defend. No 2-block rule here in NASCAR. You can block as much as you want until you get wrecked, pretty much. So I'm just keeping it on that bottom line. We come back to the white flag with the 07 oh so close behind us on degrading tires. And this is probably the lowest the tires have been in quite a while. Due to stage racing, you don't really get a ton of tire runs to the end, but because of how brutal this track is, for lack of a better term, on the tires, we end up with nearly just 40%, and it probably will be by the end of this lap, on that right front. But we take home our 4th career victory, beating out 2-time NASCAR champion Kyle Larson to the line, and take our 4th win of the season, in the patriotic scheme no less. And that's another one done for USA. And I believe this may have put us into the points lead, because I don't think Heim finished that well. No, he finished outside the top 10, so not great. A couple of notable finishers there. The 45, 13, 52, 81 actually finished top 15. That's not terrible. And excuse the giant yellow triangle in the middle of the screen. That's an editing error on my part, but there you can see it looked like there was contact between me and the 11, but I don't think there ever was. Could just be a me thing. And this is coming down the back straightaway in stage number 3 on the restart. Can't really see it that well, but up the racetrack, get really loose. Just tap the outside wall. And I did block the 34 truck a little bit, but not a ton of contact between us. Right there, that was about the only bit of contact that was actually my fault during this entire race. And I still had people at my neck on Twitter at the end of this race. And then this was one of the times getting loose. You can't really see it. Once again, I don't really know how this happened. Normally I have the white triangle pointing the other way, and it saved like that, but apparently my software was just not having it with me. And at the end of the race here, you'll see Corey Heim, Tyler Ankrum, and William Sawalich giving me praise. Josh Rayom not giving me praise. I didn't see him the entire race. Jack Wood, I didn't see him the entire race. Tyler Ankrum, I don't remember hitting it all. And Corey Heim spun himself out and has the goal to complain about me and says that I hit him, even though I hit him because he spun out and crashed into the wall and then spun out immediately after that too. So I don't know. No correlation there for me. But yeah, that puts us into the points lead. We actually have the most playoff points out of anybody, which is kind of surprising considering how many stage wins Corey Heim has taken away from me this season so far. But we will sign on a new sponsor. I believe it's Horizon Hobby. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's episode. So thank you so much for watching. Follow all my other channels. The links are in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.